Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, when you think about the greatest conflicts of our time, you probably picture, I don't know, battlefields, soldiers, tanks.
Right, the things you can actually see,
Yeah,
the physical stuff.
exactly. But we need to get ready for a pretty fundamental shift in perspective today. We're focusing on a really revolutionary concept that's detailed in our source material. It's all about a strategic vision, largely spearheaded by Pakistan, for something called the digital fortress.
And the core idea here, the thing that makes this so urgent, is that the whole nature of war has just changed
Yeah.
irrevocably.
Yeah, the sources are incredibly clear on this. They say the next war will not begin with bullets, it'll begin with a blink.
A blink, a silent cyber strike.
Exactly. A hacked communications network, a satellite system that gets compromised, and suddenly your military is blind before anyone is even mobilized.
Right.
So our mission today is to really unpack this, to define and analyze the creation of what these sources call a digital shield, these firewalls of faith, designed to protect digital sovereignty for, well, the entire Muslim world.
And it's not just a minor upgrade. We're talking about a total redefinition of what national defense even means.
And what's so fascinating is how the sources frame this. It's not some hypothetical, what if scenario in the future.
No, it's presented as an immediate existential necessity. It's being driven by current documented vulnerabilities that are happening right now.
So we're going to dissect this proactive strategy being proposed, looking at how Pakistan and this wider alliance, this proposed Muslim NATO, are planning to tackle this trinity of modern threats.
Cyber warfare, large-scale AI espionage, and, crucially, satellite surveillance.
This is the new frontier.
A frontier where digital borders have become just as important, maybe even more important than physical ones.
That's the core of national survival now.
And for you listening right now, this is so important because understanding this shift is, it's the shortcut to grasping 21st century power dynamics. The old model was land, military size. The new model is data control and technological independence.
If you control a nation's data, you essentially control the nation. So this deep dive is really about understanding the absolute bedrock of national survival in the information age.
Precisely. And the research argues that if nations fail to adapt to these new domains of conflict, it's like a form of self-colonization.
Wow.
We need to dissect how these new domains operate and understand why, strategically, they've really eclipsed the traditional theaters of war, land, sea, and air as the place where conflicts now begin.
Okay, so let's start there. The sheer magnitude of this transition. It's not just a minor tweak to military spending, right?
Not at all. It's a complete paradigm shift in how we define war itself. For centuries, we fought in three domains: land, sea, air.
Right.
Now the sources officially add two more. And these are domains that are completely invisible and borderless.
So these are the fifth and sixth domains we're hearing more about.
Exactly. Cyberspace is the fifth domain of conflict, and outer space is the sixth. And the fundamental evolution here is that these domains allow for asymmetric warfare.
What do you mean by that? Asymmetric.
A smaller, less conventionally powerful state, or even a non-state actor, can inflict massive state-level damage.
With a keyboard.
With a keyboard, not an aircraft carrier. The speed, the anonymity, the potential for just crippling infrastructure. It's unparalleled.
And that completely changes the timeline of a conflict, right? The sources stress that modern conflicts now begin with data disruption, not troop deployment.
Yes, and that is the quiet warfare.
So what does that actually look like? What is data disruption on a national scale?
Well, it's about causing national systems to fail, often simultaneously. It's surgical, it's rapid, and it's incredibly difficult to attribute. You don't always know who hit you.
And we're not talking about a single hacker in a basement.
No. We're talking about state-sponsored campaigns using incredibly sophisticated techniques. It could be a massive DDoS attack, a distributed denial of service that takes down your command and control systems right in the middle of a crisis. Or it could be something called supply chain poisoning. That's where malware is inserted deep into software or hardware manufacturing lines, months, maybe even years before an attack is planned.
Wow, so it's just sitting there dormant.
Exactly.
Why?
Waiting. Or you could cripple a nation's power grid using malware that exploits vulnerabilities in industrial control systems that no one even knew existed. The goal is total systemic shock without a single bomb going off.
So your defense strategy has to be just as invisible. It has to be interconnected and and faster than a human can even react.
It has to be.
This is why the sources say that protecting digital boundaries is now strategically equal to protecting physical borders.
Absolutely. You can have the most fortified border in the world, but if the systems that manage your troop movements, your treasury, your power, your water, if they're all shut down at the same time, that army isn't going anywhere. It's effectively immobilized.
And this isn't just theoretical. The data in our sources really grounds this in what's happening today.
Yes, it gives very specific examples of how cyber warfare is being used right now against nations in the Middle East and South Asia.
And it seems to break down into two main types of assault. The first is what they call cyber sabotage.
Right.
And the sources are explicit here. They cite Israel's cyber sabotage activities in the Middle East as a prime example.
And these are strategic, high-value attacks. They're designed to destabilize rivals by targeting their most critical, most sensitive infrastructure.
So this is different from just stealing information.
Very different. Cyber sabotage aims for physical, tangible damage, but delivered remotely. Think about interfering with missile guidance systems or corrupting data in industrial machinery to make it break down.
Or disrupting energy production.
Exactly. The key benefit for the attacker is the ability to project power deep inside a rival's territory without ever crossing a border, without risking a single soldier. It's a tool for shaping geopolitics from a distance.
Okay, so that's the physical hardware side. Then there's the second category, which seems more psychological.
Yes, the kind of warfare designed to break a nation from within. What the sources call misinformation or hybrid warfare.
And again, they give a specific example. Indian misinformation operations directed against Pakistan.
And this is fundamentally about destroying public trust and political cohesion using digital tools. This is where state actors use everything: compromised social media, sophisticated deepfakes, coordinated bot networks to just flood the zone with politically toxic narratives.
So what did that look like for Pakistan?
The operations mentioned involved massive, coordinated efforts to plant false stories in international media, to manipulate how electoral data is perceived, and to discredit government officials. It's all designed to create internal chaos and weaken the state's legitimacy on the world stage.
So when you put those two together, physical sabotage through cyber and psychological sabotage through information, you realize the modern battlefield covers everything.
It targets both the hardware and the mindset of a nation.
Which leads directly to the core reason for this proposed Muslim NATO.
It has to. The sources conclude that traditional defense treaties, the ones focused on physical borders, are basically obsolete if your digital flank is wide open.
So this new alliance has to protect both.
It must. It needs to protect conventional borders, of course, but its primary existential mission has to be securing these newly critical digital boundaries. Without that, without a unified cyber defense doctrine and sovereign space intelligence, the alliance is just dangerously exposed to a strategic defeat without a single shot being fired.
It's a complete reframing. National security isn't just about who has the biggest air force anymore.
It's about who has the most impenetrable firewall, and maybe more importantly, who controls the truth. And that immediacy, that intensity, brings us to the critical threat landscape. The sources paint a really stark picture of the current cyber readiness across the Muslim world.
And the numbers they use to back this up are, well, they're alarming. We're told that over 80% of Muslim nations lack comprehensive cyber defense doctrines.
80%.
That's a staggering number.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about a weak IT department, are we?
No, this is a fundamental failure of national governance. It's a failure to even recognize and organize against the primary threat of our century.
So what does a comprehensive doctrine actually include? What are they missing?
It's so much more than just firewalls. A comprehensive doctrine means having standardized legal frameworks for data protection. It means clear policy guidelines for how you respond to a state-level attack. It means integrated military and civilian cyber command structures.
And people. You need the experts.
And that's maybe the most important part. You need a robust, continuous training pipeline for thousands of specialized analysts and engineers. If you lack that, it means you're running on systems designed by others, secured by others, and you are perpetually vulnerable to their interference.
Which leads right to the next question. Who are these others? Who holds the keys to the kingdom right now?
The sources are very explicit about this. They identify the groups controlling data and satellite intelligence across much of this airspace: Israel, India, and Western cyber alliances.
And this control isn't just an abstract idea. It's rooted in physical infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
And proprietary software.
Absolutely. It manifests through structural dependencies. First, you have the physical infrastructure. Something like 99% of all global internet traffic travels through undersea fiber optic cables.
Right.
Many of these cables, or the switching stations they connect to, are owned, monitored, or politically influenced by these external powers.
And then there's the technology itself.
Exactly. Most nations rely on foreign operating systems, Windows, iOS. They rely on foreign cloud hosting, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, foreign telecommunications hardware. Every license agreement, every hardware purchase is a potential backdoor for intelligence gathering.
And then we get to the sixth domain, space.
And that's the critical one. Surveillance is controlled because these nations are reliant on external GPS and satellite constellations for everything, positioning, navigation, timing PNT, and for high-resolution imagery.
So if an external power controls the satellite,
They can monitor your military movements, gather economic intelligence, and most dangerously, they can just switch off the signal during a crisis.
that dependency loop is what the sources call the ultimate vulnerability. And it brings us to maybe the most famous historical example of this kind of warfare, the one that was a massive wake-up call for everyone.
The Stuxnet attack.
Stuxnet back in 2010 on Iran. Let's really detail the impact here, because this is the proof that digital war causes real physical destruction.
Stuxnet was a watershed moment. It was the first widely recognized weapon designed specifically to physically sabotage industrial control systems. It was highly targeted malware aimed at the Siemens controllers used in Iran's Natanz nuclear facility.
And the genius of it was its deception. It didn't just crash the system, which would have been obvious.
Exactly. That's the key. The malware got into the system and just sat there, silently, until it identified the specific centrifuges it was looking for.
And then what?
Then it subtly, over time, manipulated their rotation speeds. It would rapidly accelerate them way beyond their safety limits and then sharply slow them down. This constant mechanical stress literally caused the centrifuges to tear themselves apart,
So thousands of machines were destroyed.
physically destroyed or rendered inoperable. But here's the crucial part. While all this destruction was happening, Stuxnet was feeding the monitoring systems false positive data. It was telling the operators that everything was running perfectly normally.
Unbelievable. So they had no idea what was happening until it was too late.
Precisely. And the sources cite this as the irrefutable proof that malware can successfully disable a nuclear program. That's a level of strategic sabotage that was previously only possible with a conventional military strike.
And if that can be done to a high-security nuclear facility, you have to imagine the fragility of a typical nation's civilian infrastructure.
Your dam management systems, hospital networks, financial clearinghouses.
It makes that 80% number, the 80% of nations without a doctrine. It makes it terrifying.
And the threats are coming from all angles. Stuxnet was about infrastructure, but the sources also point to the political damage caused by things like the Indian spyware campaigns that specifically targeted officials and journalists in Pakistan.
So this is more about targeted surveillance.
Yes, this is the ongoing insidious threat, using highly sophisticated spyware to compromise the phones and devices of key decision makers. You get access to their communications, their strategy discussions, their personal data.
If your foreign minister's phone is compromised, the sovereignty of the entire state is immediately undermined.
It creates massive leverage for the aggressor. And this all brings us back to that core concept the alliance is trying to mitigate: digital colonization.
We think of colonization as something from history books, with armies and flags.
But digital colonization is far more pervasive because, well, it's invisible. As the authors define it, control over these nations is now achieved through their data and their technological dependency, not by occupying their land with armies.
So their strategic decisions, their economic performance.
Their social stability, all of it is constantly susceptible to external monitoring or manipulation because they don't control their own digital infrastructure. They are clients, not masters, in the digital realm.
And for you, the listener, this really brings it home. Control over data is control over truth. In a state of digital colonization, it's not just your infrastructure that's vulnerable.
The very narrative of your nation's reality, its economic health, its political stability, can be dictated, or at least heavily influenced, by external powers who hold the keys to the data.
So reclaiming digital independence isn't just a military goal. It's about reclaiming your national destiny.
And that necessity, that undeniable threat level, is what demanded an immediate integrated response. And that, the sources say, is the genesis of Pakistan's pioneering role here.
So faced with this comprehensive threat, digital colonization, high-level espionage, actual sabotage, the sources highlight that Pakistan realized it had to move beyond a fragmented approach.
Right, they couldn't just have different departments working in silos anymore.
And so they took this crucial step, establishing the Islamic Cyber Command, or the ICC, and this is meant to be the blueprint for the wider alliance.
And we have to be clear, this command is not just an expanded IT security department. It's a radical strategy. It's about integrating digital security directly into the core of the national defense matrix.
So digital defense is now treated on par with, say, air defense or naval protection.
Exactly. It's a high-priority strategic function of state security. And what's really critical is the structure of the ICC. It's designed to link all the necessary parts of the state. It combines strategic intelligence, high-level technical expertise, and long-term academic rigor.
Okay, so who are the players? Who's in this integrated structure?
You have the military intelligence apparatus, specifically the ISI, the Inter-Services Intelligence. They bring the strategic intelligence.
Knowing who the enemy is and what they might do next.
Precisely. Then you have the technical expertise from the National Center for Cybersecurity, the NCCS, and finally you have the academic pipeline from various defense universities.
So that creates a constant flow of new research and talent.
Yes. This integration is the key to resilience. ISI predicts and tracks the intent of threat actors. NCCS provides the technical muscle, the experts who design the defensive software. And the universities ensure that the ICC isn't just fighting the last war, but is preparing for future threats we haven't even seen yet.
It creates an adaptive system, one that can play both offense and defense.
Exactly.
And the ICC's focus areas are very targeted. They're direct responses to the threats we just discussed, the Stuxnet-type attacks, the hybrid warfare, the satellite blindness.
Yes, there are 3 highly technical areas that define its mission. The first is a move away from just being reactive. It's AI-powered cyber threat detection.
So traditional cybersecurity relies on finding malware we already know about, right? Looking for its signature.
Which is always a game of catch-up. The threat actors are creating new malware constantly.
So how does AI change that game?
AI shifts the focus to behavioral analytics. Instead of looking for a known virus, the AI models analyze massive amounts of network data in real time to find anomalies in behavior.
Give me an example.
Okay, so an employee logs in from an unusual location at 3 a.m. and immediately tries to transfer a massive data file. An AI would flag that instantly as anomalous behavior, even if the person used valid credentials. It's designed to catch the zero-day exploits, the attacks that use brand new, unknown vulnerabilities before they can do significant damage.
And with the speed of modern attacks, you need that kind of rapid response.
Only AI can provide it.
Okay, so that's the proactive technical defense. The second focus area seems to address the political and societal threats directly.
Yes, counter-hybrid warfare units.
And these units, they don't operate in the server room.
No, they operate in the information domain. Their mission is digital forensics and counter-narrative strategy. They have to be able to rapidly identify, trace, and dismantle misinformation campaigns, like the ones we mentioned earlier.
So they're hunting bot networks.
Hunting bot networks, identifying the origins of deepfakes, and critically, proactively disseminating accurate information to sort of inoculate the public against foreign propaganda. It's a fusion of military intelligence, psychological operations, and digital communication.
And the third focus area takes us into orbit.
Right, it addresses that dependency in the 6th domain, satellite and space security programs. This moves the ICC's mandate beyond just terrestrial firewalls.
This is about guaranteeing independent access to your own space assets.
Absolutely. These programs focus on hardening the systems that manage Pakistan's own communication and reconnaissance satellites, protecting them against jamming, electronic warfare, or just outright hacking.
So securing the ground control stations, developing anti-spoofing tech for GPS signals.
Building redundancy, everything. By integrating these programs, the ICC ensures that in a conflict, Pakistan's military and intelligence operations can't be shut down by an external power.
And the sources are clear that this is all about building indigenous capability. It's not about buying off-the-shelf solutions from other countries.
No, it's a deliberate rejection of that reliance.
Yeah.
They note that Pakistan is already actively training engineers and officers in these critical fields: AI warfare, cybersecurity, data resilience.
Because you can buy software, but you can't buy expertise and loyalty overnight.
That is the long-term strategic investment.
Yeah.
By creating these dedicated training pipelines, Pakistan is building the foundational technical core that's necessary for the wider Muslim alliance. The ICC model is the operational template. It's the technical engine that's meant to drive this whole digital fortresses vision.
Okay, so the ICC is the proof of concept. It works for one nation. The big question then is, how do you scale that highly specialized integrated model across a diverse alliance of many different nations?
And that is the central strategic challenge that the sources address. The solution they propose is a highly specialized three-pronged structure. It's introduced under what they call the nuclear umbrella framework.
And the idea is efficiency through specialization.
Exactly. You allocate critical functions to the nations that are best positioned to lead them.
This avoids the problem of every single member state trying to become an expert in everything all at once, which would be impossible.
Politically and financially impossible. So let's start with the operational core, the part that builds on the ICC model we just discussed.
Component 1, the Cyber Defense Wing, led by Pakistan.
Pakistan's role here is the operational front line. Their job is to protect all the allied networks, AI systems, and critical infrastructure from immediate cyber attacks.
So it's more than just defending their own networks.
Oh, much more. It means standardizing security protocols across all member states. It means coordinating rapid incident response, establishing shared threat intelligence feeds, and managing the central AI detection systems.
So if a bank in, say, Malaysia gets hit with a new type of ransomware,
Pakistan's wing would coordinate the analysis and push out a system-wide patch to all members immediately. They are the technical custodians of the alliance's day-to-day digital health.
that makes a lot of sense for the technical core. Now, Component 2 seems like it requires huge investment in technical capability.
It does. Component 2 is the Space Intelligence Unit, and it's designated for Turkey.
Why Turkey?
Turkey's role leverages its growing technological base and its strategic geographical location. Its main job is overseeing satellite data, GPS control, and space surveillance. This is the alliance's independent eye in the sky.
And the long-term goal here, as the sources mention, is the deployment of their own Islamic satellite constellations.
That's the endgame.
That sounds like an immense undertaking. What are the logistics of creating and managing a shared satellite constellation?
It's massive. It requires international coordination on orbital slot allocation. Those are reserved by international bodies. It requires huge, specialized funding. And it means achieving sovereignty over the entire data chain, from launch to analysis.
So Turkey would be responsible for building in redundancy anti-jamming capabilities.
And most crucially, providing sovereign PNT services, positioning, navigation, and timing that are independent of the U.S. GPS system, or Russia's GERO-NAS, or China's Beidou.
So this unit's success is what determines whether the alliance can actually act autonomously in a crisis.
It is, absolutely.
Okay, so Pakistan is the defender on the ground, Turkey is the intelligence provider in orbit, and the third component, led by Saudi Arabia, is more of a governance structure.
Yes. Component 3 is the Digital Ethics Board, and this is what makes the alliance's framework so unique.
So what is its specific role?
Its role is to regulate the use of these powerful technologies, especially AI and surveillance, but within the framework of Islamic ethics.
As AI gets more embedded in military decision-making, like for automated target identification, you need strict ethical guidelines.
You have to. What are the practical implications of having an ethics board for AI in warfare? It's about ensuring that this immense power doesn't lead to corruption or overreach.
So the board would set the rules of engagement, basically.
It would establish clear protocols for data usage. It would mandate transparency in how automated decisions are made. And it would work to prevent the alliance's own surveillance tools from being weaponized against, say, internal political dissent or civilian populations. It's about building trust and accountability.
So this whole tri-command system working together establishes what the sources call the new pillars of security.
Which are data sovereignty, the right to control your own information, AI ethics ensuring powerful tools are used justly, and space control guaranteeing independent access to intelligence and communications.
It's the whole package you need to move from being dependent to being independent in the digital age.
Exactly.
You know, I find the way they've partitioned the roles really compelling. If you tasked Pakistan with both defense and space intelligence, it might overstretch their resources.
It absolutely would.
And if Turkey handled intelligence without the ethical framework from Saudi Arabia, that intelligence gathering could lack internal controls.
That synthesis is what the sources highlight as the strategic genius of the plan. By separating technical defense, intelligence control, and ethical regulation, you get deep expertise in each area, but you also create necessary checks and balances,
So the technical power is tempered by moral responsibility.
which makes the entire alliance more resilient, both from external threats and from internal collapse. ###5, strategic benefits, and the quest for digital independence. So once you have that robust structure in place, we have to ask, what's the payoff? What are the tangible outcomes? The sources outline 4 key strategic benefits that would come from this united Muslim cyber alliance.
And the first goal is pretty fundamental for any security alliance: preventing espionage and data theft.
Right. But in this context, it's not just about protecting state secrets, it's about collective economic security.
How so?
A unified architecture means a common defense against state-level actors who are trying to steal intellectual property, military blueprints, or sensitive financial data from any of the member states. An attack on one is understood as a probe against all.
And the second benefit builds on that: safeguarding financial and defense systems.
This is huge. Cyber resilience provides deep economic security. For oil-producing nations, for example, safeguarding the petrodollar transaction systems from a debilitating ransomware attack is a core economic imperative.
And for military systems, it means securing command and control from digital sabotage.
A coordinated defense means faster intelligence sharing. A threat emerges in one country, and the whole alliance knows about it in minutes, which can prevent a localized attack from becoming a systemic crisis across the entire allied financial market.
Okay, and the third benefit is the one that really signals true independence: developing Islamic satellite constellations.
The sources really underline this as a major step.
We touched on the logistics, but strategically, why is having your own constellation so vital?
Because control over your own satellite infrastructure is the ultimate insurance policy against geopolitical coercion. Right now, if an allied nation relies on a U.S.-controlled GPS signal and they get into a political confrontation with the U.S., that signal can be degraded, encrypted, or just turned off completely.
Which would cripple their military targeting, air navigation?
Even precise timing for financial transactions. Developing their own constellation, overseen by Turkey, eradicates that vulnerability. It grants the alliance sovereign control over its own eyes and ears. It makes their actions truly independent of external political approval.
You're effectively removing the ability of a foreign power to have a digital veto over your national actions.
That is the very definition of regaining sovereignty in the 6th domain.
And the final strategic benefit seems to be about long-term sustainability.
Yes, training youth in cyber patriotism. This links the massive technological investment directly to a cultural and moral duty.
So it's about more than just filling jobs.
It's about cultivating a continuous pipeline of highly skilled engineers, analysts, and officers who see the defense of digital boundaries as a critical national and moral duty. It's about embedding this concept culturally into the workforce.
It ensures the security apparatus isn't just some small, isolated elite, but that it draws from a wide, committed base of citizens.
Yeah.
So when you put all 4 benefits together, the single overriding goal becomes crystal clear.
Achieving digital independence.
The research states that by using Pakistan's ICC as the technical core and template, the entire Muslim world gains the necessary digital independence to protect itself from that external control over its data and information.
Digital independence is the antidote to digital colonization. It means your strategic decisions, military, economic, diplomatic, are made with absolute confidence in the integrity of your own intelligence. Your infrastructure is protected, your data is your own.
Autonomy in the digital realm grants you real, sustainable autonomy in the physical world.
It does.
And for you, the learner, this extends directly to your own life. The security of a nation's systems really determines the security of its citizens. If that critical infrastructure is protected by a sovereign digital shield, then your personal financial security, your privacy, the stability of your government, it's all fundamentally more secure.
But this transition is also filled with ethical danger. Developing such powerful tools for surveillance and control demands an equally robust moral foundation.
Which is why the sources spend so much time on this idea of blending faith with the firewall. And this might be the most unique aspect of this whole proposed alliance. It's what distinguishes it from a purely geopolitical or military pact.
Yes, the integration of the defense doctrine with a core, shared, moral, and ethical framework. And this is the domain of that Saudi-led digital ethics board.
So what's the foundation for this?
The foundation is a central concept in Islam, amana, which means trust. It's a profound ancient concept that governs everything from personal promises to holding public office.
And the sources argue that this concept has to be applied to the digital age.
robustly applied. And the application they propose is both insightful and strategic. They argue that in the modern age, data is the new trust.
Data is the new amana.
Exactly. Think about it. If the alliance is going to consolidate control over these vast, highly sensitive reserves of intelligence, financial data, and personal communications from all these allied nations, the moral weight of that control is enormous.
The danger is that the surveillance mechanisms could be corrupted and turned inwards.
Used against your own populace or for political manipulation, that's the inherent danger of centralized security power.
And this is why that moral mandate becomes a strategic necessity. A cyber shield built on what they call ethical AI ensures that this power can be used without that corruption.
If the AI systems and the intelligence apparatus are governed by the principles of Amana, then the technology is used strictly for the defense of sovereignty and integrity, not for invasive overreach into the lives of citizens or the politics of partner states.
The sources even ground this in a specific scriptural reference.
They do, citing the Quran, which emphasizes rendering trust to whom they are due. And this isn't just religious window dressing. It's a foundational principle of governance being applied to the most powerful tools ever invented by humanity.
So by mandating that the alliance treat data, which is control over truth, the potential for surveillance, as a sacred trust, they're trying to build internal stability.
They're trying to ensure that the formidable technology they're developing doesn't end up compromising the very values and relationships it's meant to protect.
So the digital fortress is framed as more than just a military structure.
It's a commitment to moral governance in the digital realm.
Which leads to the conclusion that creating this fortress is both a technological and a moral responsibility.
Technology without ethics is dangerous, but technology guided by a governing ethic of trust becomes the ultimate accountable shield for sovereignty.
It really elevates the conversation beyond just defense spending. It dictates that nations must be not only technologically powerful, but also fundamentally righteous and accountable in how they apply that strength.
Especially when you're dealing with something as pervasive and sensitive as digital and space technologies. Hashtag outro way. So we have covered a lot of ground today. We've moved from recognizing cyberspace and outer space as these new existential domains of conflict, all the way to this detailed, integrated strategy designed to achieve independence.
Yeah, and we've really mapped out that comprehensive strategy, the pioneering model of Pakistan's Islamic Cyber Command, and then scaling that into the specialized tri-command structure.
The Cyber Defense Wing from Pakistan, the Space Intelligence Unit from Turkey, and the Digital Ethics Board from Saudi Arabia.
It's a comprehensive, specialized approach. It's designed to guarantee data sovereignty, ethical AI use, and independent space control for this huge regional alliance.
And I think the key takeaway is that the battle for national survival has just fundamentally shifted. The sources present this alliance as the necessary integrated way to guarantee digital independence.
It's a recognition that the threat of data manipulation and technological dependency is now, in many ways, more pertinent than a conventional military invasion.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to a final thought, one that really builds on that moral responsibility we just discussed.
Okay.
If, as the sources so strongly claim, data is the new trust, the new amana, what specific, auditable, and universally adopted ethical safeguards, maybe even beyond the mandates of the proposed Digital Ethics Board, must be implemented across all three commands? How do you ensure their defense and surveillance mechanisms don't internally compromise the integrity and the transparency of the very data they are designed to protect?
That is the perpetual challenge of power, isn't it? How do you maintain total transparency and accountability, both internally and externally, when the tools you are wielding are the most opaque and powerful technologies of surveillance and defense ever developed?
That feels like the core strategic challenge for the long-term success of the entire digital fortress.
I agree.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the evolving geometry of national defense. We'll see you next time.